Hello everyone, this is Kuroda giving you a shoutcast between Goats and Sika, both part of Mousesports, versus EG's Axelav and Strifecrow. Game 1 taking place here on Scorched Haven. Axelav spawning as the red Protoss player. Meanwhile, we have Strifecrow spawning as the purple Zerg. They will be playing against not Mouse Tosh and not Mouse Nova. No, they are playing on the American server, so they had to borrow their accounts. I believe Ghosta or Geist is the yellow Terran player. Meanwhile, Sick is the green Zerg, so hopefully you guys can keep track of that. Sick is the Zerg player, Axelav is the Protoss, and then you guys can keep track of what's happening in the rest of the game. You can see Strifecrow opening up with a 11/10 extractor build. Meanwhile, a pretty standard build, a pylon coming in over here by Axelav as a probe now makes his way out. Protoss and Zerg do make for some deadly combinations in 2v2. I do always suggest a Zerg player in a 2v2 matchup just because it makes the other team play a little bit more honest. We can see currently Mouse Nova, or the Mouse team, the Mouse Zerg player, already getting up an extractor, and now mining with that extractor before even getting a spawning pool. This is a very strange opening, as spawning pool first is pretty standard, especially in a 2v2 matchup. Overlord now making his way out. And I cannot edit sneezes out of this, as the SCV now makes its way across the map as well. We are going to have one Overlord position itself perhaps over here for some blinking later from Axelav. Back in the bases, we are getting a gas over here by Axelav. We are getting a gas by Strifecrow, so it is not going to be an all-in rush, as now we are currently getting double racks build and an SCV chasing after this probe, trying to make sure that that probe is not able to stay inside and that probe is backing off. Now this Overlord by 6 should most likely come back over here and make sure that there are no proxy gateways being set up. You can take a look, they haven't done any true scouting just quite yet, and by the time this SCV does come down and come back up, these gateways could have already been proxied over here and had a lot of damage dealt, but no, SCV able to quickly squeeze by there, see that there's a forge and a gateway, no cybernetics core yet, as Axelav is now throwing in one probe on the assimilator, so not doing full gas mining, just sending in one probe at a time, as we are now getting some Zerglings across the map. A photon cannon may be coming in, Zealot having to wall off in just a moment here, and this is going to be very, very crucial if the Zealot can hold off a lot of those Zerglings. The Zerglings are now battling it out over here, 2 SCVs and a couple Marines as well. So the Mouse team now making his way out with those 2 SCVs and 1 Marine, and that Marine getting a little bit of damage in already, as those SCVs are now perhaps going to set up a bunker. A bunker down over here, so there's going to be a bunker in the center portion of the map, as the Marines may be able to start pecking away at these Zealots, and that is going to be a little bit of an issue, as the Marines able to get some damage onto those Zealots. The Zealots cannot move out of that position, but there is one photon cannon that has been completed, and that is going to make it so that it's going to force into the Zerg player, and now we see Strifecrow going into roaches already. And this early Zergling rush should get taken down pretty easily. The Roach is trying to go after that Marine there, as the Zerglings now surround. So that is going to be a little bit of an issue, as the Zerglings now going to be running straight in the base. There is a Queen and another Roach here, and very nice positioning on the spawning pool itself to make it more difficult for Zerglings to try to run in. More Roaches. Excuse me. More Roaches are trying to push their way through, and now getting some, more Zerglings are trying to push their way through, as the Zerglings are getting a surround over here, but more Roaches are hatching at the same time. Total unit count, we can see Strifecrow is ahead. Meanwhile, drones 16 and 10 compared to 21 and 13, so it looks as though if EG is able to fend off against this attack, they're going to have a strong economic lead moving into the mid-game. A chrono boost now currently on the sentries, so the sentries will be able to place down some force fields. I do not see a Baneling's Nest just quite yet, as now the Mouse's Zerg player opting to go for a hatchery on the low ground and trying to expand at this stage. Zerglings and Marines holding onto that position right there. Roach is now finally making their way down, and the Roach is going to battle it out against those Zerglings. Zerglings getting a decent surround here, and both sides fighting, and those Marines on the low ground getting more damage onto those Roaches than Strifecrow would really like, as the Zerglings unable to get a decent surround onto those Roaches, and now those Roaches just fighting back with that mineral line there. At some point, Axav will be able to make his way out of his base. He is running off of now 4 gateways, which will turn into warp gates in just about 20 seconds or so. But that is still a very, very long 20 seconds, as those Zerglings may be able to take down that queen. And the roaches are not going to be able to save that queen in time. And no, as StrifePro losing a major portion of his production. Zerglings still wandering around here. We are getting Marines down over here, as well as those roaches now going to fend off against those Marines. The roaches are faster than Marines on creep, but those Zerglings are not able to get any true damage onto those drones, as both sides still battling it out. And Axlab just still playing a very defensive game so far. He needs to support his partner and start busting down these bunkers in just a moment. You can see more stalkers are being warped in, and now the Zerglings are now starting to make their push as well. We are going to be getting, it looks like the bunker does have a decent number of Marines down over here, but as soon as this forge is now going to be taken down, so as soon as this forge gets taken down, all of these stalkers will be able to push their way out. The sentries will be able to get up a guardian shield, and these 2 bunkers will pretty much be destroyed with really no issue whatsoever. And now one zealot going to lead the charge here with that guardian shield, and there you go, finally breaking its way out. That guardian shield and those roaches, and very nice teamwork timing this together, as StrifePro and Axtab clearing those bunkers with relative ease, and now able to set up his own, set up their own expansions down here and down here as well. Marauders and Marines with Zerglings now back across on the other side of the map. Taking a look at the harvester count, 15, 28 compared to 24 and 19. So it is about even without me trying to do any serious math there, as the roaches and sentries and stalkers are making their way out, but running straight into a lot of Marauders. That's going to be a bit of a problem, as those Marines and Marauders are trying to make their way through, trying to get into a single file line there. Some were able to slip back, but Axlab doing a great job with a very, very effective force fields and preventing many of those Marauders and Marines. And now many of those those bunkers are getting taken down. Zerglings going after roaches along the backside there, as those roaches are still battling it out. I believe multiple bunkers are going to get destroyed relatively easily, as the Marauders and Marines are trying to use their superior range against those roaches, but that's a couple force fields able to stop that, as those roaches now going after the queen down to 40 hit points once more. And it looks like the roaches able to move much more quickly on creep, going after that queen, melting away at that acid, and down goes that last Marauder there. Sentries are trying to battle it out, but the new reinforcements are in play. No additional reinforcements by that proxy pylon there, and it looks as though Mouse should be able to fend off this very aggressive and counterattack by EG now, as those zealots trying to offer some support, but these units should just retreat all the way home, as Mouse has a decent number of roaches, Zerglings, Marines, and Marauders. So once again, another counter push, as Axtab desperately tries to retreat, but there's a lot of Zerglings, and this is not going to work out well, as the Zealots, or the Sentries, now getting surrounded here, going to get picked apart. Zealots not even bothering to turn around and attack back, and more units caught in transition there. So a lot of resources lost in that engagement. I believe a total of 500, 2 Sentries and 2 Zealots. Zerglings in the center portion of the map. Expansions are being reestablished. It looks like there is no additional command center by the Mousesports' Terran player, as it looks like a command center may be built in just a moment. Zerglings are still trying to play a yin-yang game, trying to get proper flanking between the two, but the Zerglings are not going to be able to catch up, as both of them have that metabolic boosted speed. Marauders and Marines. Marauders do have that concussive shell. Marines do not have combat shield just quite yet. Roaches and Zerglings being added by the Mouse as another counterattack coming into play. Axtab, the one really supporting the army here, as he was able to just wall inside his base for so long, running off of 4 gateways, chrono boosting off of the nexuses, and able to get a very large army. Zerglings now going to try to run in, but not going to be able to do very much, as the Zealots should perhaps turn around, as there's not much in use in really trying to chase those Zerglings. Marauders and Marines coming in for a counter push, and that counter push may be successful. Production wise, we don't see that much coming in from StrifePro, as now Spine Crawlers slowly being built as well, but the creep is not near enough to the front there, as a Zerg is now trying to return home and now trying to get in position once more. Drones need to grow up to be Spine Crawlers. In comes some more force fields once again. Nicely done, as many of those Marauders and Marines are not going to be able to do very much, but the Zealots need to get out of combat range range. And now any of those units caught on the wrong side of the force field will essentially just fall relatively quickly. Once again, Marines and Marauders, Zerglings in the caught in behind, and now more Roaches and Marauders getting destroyed. So this one Observer able to keep track of the battle, and the Zealots in the front doing a great job, and now an Immortal joining in on the battle, going after those Roaches. And Roaches without that Glio reconstitution, unable to run away. The Stalkers will be able to pick off units very easily. And now the Stalkers are trying to give chase, but it doesn't look like much will happen there. And now EG looking like they have the stronger army once more. They do definitely have the stronger food count, as Ghost finally gets his command center up and running, upgrading to an orbital command. He doesn't have that many SCVs at all, only 26, but then again, Strifecrow sitting at 24 drones. He should be able to start power droning in just a moment, and perhaps by power droning, EG will be able to build an even stronger economy going into the later portion of this mid-game. Roaches no upgrades whatsoever. Axtab getting a robotics bay and a level 1 weapons upgrade with a Twilight Council. So we may get blink on those Stalkers. We may be getting Colossi as well. And EG Axtab with such a superior economy after not having to deal with so much early pressure may be able to carry Strifecrow, as Strifecrow was just a punching bag for so much of this battle. We now have back over here though Sick. It's establishing another expansion on the bottom right hand side of the map as well, and this is going to be very beneficial for Sick if he's able to transfer some of his drones over. He does have 43 drones, and as a Zerg player you can always train up more drones very, very easily. Infestation Pit also coming in, so Infestors most likely in the near future as well. Protoss ground armor and weapons upgrade coming in from double forges. So one forge here. Where is that other forge? Why don't oh, other here, second forge is over here, both being chrono boosted. So Axlab is going to have a lot of armor in order to deal with the Marines, which are still sitting at 0-0, and I believe the Zerglings are also still sitting at 0-0 as well. With no upgrades in sight, that Protoss armor is going to be very effective, especially with those Guardian shields, essentially depleting the amount of damage that is dealt by Marines from a natural 6 down to 3 or down to 2. So that is going to be very, very effective, especially as those Colossus have the level 1 weapons upgrade already, and the extended thermal lance range coming in. Level 2 weapons upgrade could be coming in as well, as we already have the Twilight Council up and running. Zerglings now coming down over here to finish off what looks like Strifecrow's attempt to try to take down this hatchery. Not going to really work out, as more Zerglings still running around the map trying to find proper positioning. Both players not wanting to overcommit to a fight now, as the Roaches finally make their way out. Production-wise, we now see Neuroparasite with an addition of 4 Infestors. Meanwhile, we have the Pathogen Glands coming in from Strifecrow. So Infestors have really been making a comeback or an introduction into this game, and most recently after the recent Neuroparasite change. Spine Crawlers also coming in as well, so this is going to be a very well-protected expansion location with 2 to 3 Spine Crawlers protecting the front and the back, making it very difficult to try to take down that location there. Zerglings hiding off, perhaps ready to do a flank. An Observer keeping track of this location here, as we are now warping in another Nexus, and it looks like multiple photon cannons as well. Triple photon cannons, 2 of them powered by 2 separate pylons, and that will definitely help, as those Marauders and Marines are going to have a very difficult time getting into location. We are also getting double Vikings as well, which should be a very strong counter to those Colossus, assuming that the Colossi do not get eventually the level 3 armor upgrades. 2 Colossus standing tall, 2 Immortals to help round out against any of those Roaches. Zerglings are going to get picked up, or the Roaches are going to get picked apart here, especially as Stalkers are now coming in from behind, and now all of these units are essentially in full retreat. They do not want to try to engage, as the Zerglings are just going to be sent into here to try to finish off this hatchery. The Zerglings now going to perhaps surround that Spine Crawler relatively easily, going after another Spine Crawler as it's being built, and you have reinforcing units here. A scanner sweep quickly revealing a lot of just army units here, and there's a lot of Infestors by Strifecrow. So Strifecrow queuing up 7 Infestors, a very large amount, as the Zerglings perhaps trying to run in and going to fall into a very, very quick death with 3 photon cannons going after those Zerglings. Those Zerglings are not going to be long for life there. Perhaps 1 photon cannon at most will get destroyed, but not much at all, as the units, for some reason, in full retreat now. Zerglings are battling against those roaches, but for some reason, Axlav did not move down and take down this hatchery, and that is a bit of a surprise. There are a large number of Vikings in the air by Ghost, so that perhaps was the reason why they did not want to try to engage. We also see a lot of roaches and infestors in the center portion of the map. The Vikings looking for a target, not really finding anything there, and the real damage dealer will be those Colossi, as long as they're able to stay operational. We also have an infestor over here as well, offering additional support, as those photon cannons are going to be even more difficult to break if those Zerglings can never get within melee range. Marines, Marauders, some Ghost over here. Army-wise, both sides sitting on a very large army, and this game, one of the longer 2v2 games in this matchup, as it is almost turning into an East versus West battle. No one taking any of these center expansions, as I say that, StrifeCro being a little gutsy and attempting to take the expansion here. The golden mineral patches on the center portion of the map on the north side. The Marine Marauder Viking army now trying to come in over here, but quickly revealed by that one Zelnaga watchtower. So StrifeCro already responding in time. Roaches now coming in as well. So the Roaches trying to push in, and this is where the very, very wide walkways are going to benefit this Roach Marauder Marine army. More and more Overlords have been shot down there, and it looks like the Roaches are going to be trying to come in down over here. The Marauders and Marines are engaging. The Vikings are engaging as well. Do we see any fungal growths? No, yes, some fungal growths on some Marines and Marauders, and more fungal growths. That is a lot of just fungal growths. No Psystorm, but with mass fungal growths all over the place by StrifeCro. StrifeCro making those infestors the real hero of this battle, making it so that many of those roaches are unable to engage. They're finally pushing their way through, but I believe Mouse has just simply lost too many units already, and Axlab is going to simply be able to save the rest of his units here. There is one Colossus standing nearby. One Stalker missed the Q for that blink, but the rest of those Marines are going to simply fall down there, as the Colossus and Stalkers are once again trying to re-engage. The Stalkers could easily catch up, finish off the rest of those Marauders here. That one Stalker perhaps should try to blink back, and the Stalkers are once again battling it out. We have, 3 Colossus now coming in. Stalkers blinking in, taking down multiple medevacs, but more Roaches coming in through the center. Another hatchery coming down over here, as StrifeCro also has that hatchery up and running. The Stalkers are battling it out. The Stalkers need to blink back once more, with some of these Stalkers getting caught out of position and being allowed to just barely retreat just in time, as there are now still 3 Colossus here, and those Colossus are going to get a lot of splash damage. There are Corruptors in the air as well, trying to slow down another key fungal growth, preventing Roaches and Medevacs from leaving. And it looks like many of the Medevacs are just going to get simply destroyed. Those Medevacs doing double duty, healing both Roaches, Zerglings, Marauders, and Marines, but still unable to really keep up in this battle so far. Axlav with a very large economy now, and this one particular hatchery that was placed down by Mouse's Zerg player now destroyed. And with Axlav at 160 food, it is just going to be a matter of time before they move out. And now with also Broodlords in this composition, it's going to be very difficult to try and stop Axlav sitting on so many Broodlords, so many Colossus here, and now making their way out, pushing into this location. No, they are not going to engage. We have Vikings, Marauders, and Marines. The Colossus now simply coming in. The Stalkers going after those Vikings relatively easily and just slicing through them. And now more Vikings coming in, Roaches coming in as well, but the Infestors are in the back. Broodlords now dropping in Broodlings as well, as a fungal growth hitting a lot of those Roaches, and there's the GG from Mousesports. So Mousesports losing game 1 in this best of 3 series. Stay tuned for game 2.